starting out for Night Market as well. I prefer Sea Gardens every single time. It's one of my favorite stages for sure on any control map. Can lead itself to, of course, a lot of variance. We've seen a little bit of fire, of course, on that map. And
I think I prefer seeing Guard second draws, just because often teams will roll out with the Reaper and the Doomfist just try and get a feel for the enemy tempo and just try and see how this meta matchup is going to be shaped up for the remainder of the game. And after they've seen that on another stage of Lijiang Tower, they may be a lot more willing to flex over on a second map where they know they may have a disadvantage or they know how to play around the tempo they've observed from another team. We'd be looking at likely Water to play the Farah in that situation, but let's focus on the present. Night Market's coming out. Both teams going to teleport forward, of course, and it's all about what Padapan and Water can get from initial engagements. Control is always about the first fight, Jaws. Who gets first control? It's often whoever wins first is going to get the entire match.
Water looked like he tried to isolate someone there on the front line. Didn't quite end up working out. Padapan going in for yet another punch, but Muse is just going to walk forward, place his shield right in front of Stan 1 to make sure he can't receive the healing, and uh-oh, you're already dead. Padapan's going to take out Water as well. Another quick and clean engagement there from Talon. They do rotate onto the point, it unlocks, and they're going to be able to get the first cap.
Saw the assist and the kill feed there, Jaws. Water getting a little bit aggressive, tries to get that punch, as you usually do with a Doomfist. When he tries to disengage him, Muse with a perfectly timed ult means that Padapan can punch him into a wall. Great usage of the abilities there. It's all about how we'll use this ult, Jaws. Stan 1 needs to be communicating this a little bit better.
Creation does miss, but look at that, Padapan like high in the sky. He was near the skybox limit at that point, I think. Kills off Water. Coalescences are going to come out as well, but Talon can play around this small little statue here and around this corner to make sure Gladiators Legion's lives are a little bit more difficult. Padapan does end up going down. Dalton brushes forward, gets the Death Blossom kill onto CQB, and now Water can pretty much do whatever he wants. Hasn't got to worry about Lucio speeding the rest of Talon Esports away. Bashful also used his ult at the end of the fight there. Death Blossom didn't find much. Water ends up killing him off, and Gladiators Legion will find the cap.
Definitely not a huge fan of that Death Blossom there, Jaws. Maybe a little bit of nerves for the Apex veteran in Bashful coming in using that ultimate. I loved how Gladiators Legion, though, decided to bait out a lot of abilities from Gagora, get him to use his Kinetic Grasp, get him to use his Accretion, so there was nothing to mitigate Dalton as he spins around trying to get that win. Now, it's going to be a tale of Gravitic Fluxes. Gagora's a little bit ahead of Emil here, and Luddy's already down, so he can't defend.
Oh, that was fast. Uppercut onto Rolf as well, and the team fight is as quick as that. Coalescence burned, obviously Supercharger and the Meteor Strike used as well by Padapan. Not the worst fight in the world in terms of ults. I mean, now Gagora has got that flux. They do have the beat coming online soon. If they activate this fast too, if they take a quick fight, Luddy's not going to have beat for it.
Yeah, this is a narrow window they need to try and exploit here, Jules, where they cannot have that counterplay. Bashful may try and force out a little bit here from the back. He can actually get a lot of damage onto Water.
They killed Luddy. Oh, they don't need any ults anymore. Luddy gets 2 hit. Dalton finds the 1v1 with Bashful, but the team's already dead. That's what you want to see. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Reaper, sitting in the corner, just 2-shot the support. That's all you want, really. Luddy now 10% away from getting that beat, but winning a team fight clean as that, Talon are going to be happy.
The window is still open, Jaws, for Gagora to strike first, unless Luddy can hit some sound waves from long range. Going to be looking to combine it with a Holt, I imagine, but first.
Speaking of fluxes, there's the Meteor Strike straight from Water as well. Flux does come out. Oh, only hits 1. Beat's going to come through from Luddy anyway to try and save Emil, but he ends up going down anyway. I think that beat was ever so slightly late. They do end up trading anyway, but Muse actually goes down in the end to the Coalescence too. Shield's not going to help you through the Coalescence damage. Gladiators Legion rotate to the point. Regardless of that late beat, they do end up winning out anyway.
That was a really good microplay there from Dalton as well. Actually got the first shot onto Padapan, basically drew his aggro, got his attention, and when Padapan turned around, Dalton knew he was going to invest in ability, so he instantly Wraith forms to avoid an incoming uppercut, and then can come out of Wraith form as he wishes, reloaded shotguns, deliver that damage. Talon need to win one fight here. Gladiators Legion, they're undermanned and under-resourced for this next fight with only
Padapan checking Water in the 1v1. And that's a big Death Blossom in the back as well. Padapan's going to be on the flank. Luddy doesn't stand an absolute chance. That was really nice from Water though, hiding up in the skylight. Was able to actually attempt to get some early pickoffs there with the flank. Talon now control the point, 99%. Dalton teleports in to catch OT, but he gets punched out of the point. Water's going to be struggling to get back on as well. OT is still ticking down as ball comes back in. Stand 1 rolling forwards, activates those adaptive shields to make sure he can survive for a little bit longer, but they're going to need something more than that. Damage is what does it, really, and Brecken Ball definitely doesn't have that against this comp. Muse is going to take out Luddy, and that should just be it. Stand 1's going to go down. The rest of them are cleared on up, and Talon will secure Night Market.
A clean first round there from Talon, looking very good at securing these wins rather quickly when they lose control of a point, Jaws. Often that defensive positioning is so good to try and win a fight from, especially on Lijiang Tower. Though it would appear that Gladiators Legion seem a little bit desperate to win each of these attacking fights, as you would be. Invest a little bit too much, and they're underprepared for Talon Esports counter-attack. Potentially Talon are even giving away a couple of these maps, or a couple of these fights, as it were, because they know they can just have a much more effective counter-attack if they just continue to brawl out and force ultimate usage from the side of Gladiators Legion. Moving on to another stage of Lijiang Tower. We see the duel here between Padapan and Water. It's been so important, and thus far it seems like Agora is doing a much better job of checking here. No. Ooh. We are actually not going to see.
Oh,
Bashful.
Big. Look at that ult charge as well. That's free. 40%. Thank you very much. Sam and Emil say goodbye. And the rest of Gladiators Legion are going to scurry back as well. I want to see if Water here actually changes over to something else, or in fact Dalton. Just try and deal with Bashful high in the sky. There's the rocket. Bada bing, bada boop. Goodbye. Straight into the water.
And Jaws is so important. They got the first cap for free, and this is where the Pharaohs are the most effective, when you can get those poking damages before anyone can even attack the point. So they're coming in under-resourced. They don't have the healing from a Moira as much, and there is a lot of charge towards a barrage.
Wow, Gagora gets instantly taken out. You see the dash forward there by Stam1, using that Lucio speed boost to place the shield in front of Muse to make sure he couldn't get any healing. Padapan's going to go fairly low as well. Bashful on the sides, got barrage very soon, but the rest of his team not doing so hot against the Legion right now as they do try and rush the point. This is the problem with the Fire Harry. I mean, oh, wait. Okay, Bashful was still alive, actually inside the point. I thought he may have retreated, but, you know, decided not to. This is the problem with the Fire as well. You don't have as much ground pressure because you don't have the Reaper Harry.
Yeah, not having that Reaper means that everyone could just double you forward onto Gagora without so much damage coming through. Sure, you might get punched by a Doomfist, but that can only go onto one person. If a tank can body block for that, then you're able to move forward as much as you'd like. Dalton, he's teleported into the back. He's going to have to invest his Wraith form to
Chased
escape.
out the rock. Bashful's going to go behind as well with that ult. Padapan's just trying to get out. The barrage comes through. Is he going to be able to get anybody? He does. Water and Luddy help finish him off, though. They do trade 1-for-1, but Emil's still fighting in the front line. This choke point is so frustrating to deal with if you're on the offense. Talon Esports just trying to get Padapan in and punch people against walls, but as soon as he commits himself, is not a chance of him getting out. And now Bashful actually changing over to the Reaper, decides he doesn't want to go for that far anymore. They need the ground presence.
Not a fan of Talon there, actually going through the enclosed space to try and take that engagement, Jaws. Would have been easier for Bashful to get a couple of rockets here and there. Oh my god, when they go for a halt and a boop here, you can see Luddy's hiding away. Will they get the halt?
He's been checked, but Water actually finds a kill anyway. He just dashed straight over. He doesn't end up trading, so Talon can definitely fight this one. Sound barrier comes out as well. You've got to be more careful now. That Reaper is going to use that Death Blossom straight on top of Padapan. Used all his cooldowns to try and get into the T, but ends up going down. Did not expect Dalton to press Q. And that's Talon Esports getting wiped. The Legion continue to control.
The important thing here, Jaws, that Gagora's used his Flux. Luddy didn't have to use the Sound Barrier because it wasn't that effective. That means that now they can try and protect Water as he goes in for a far more aggressive engagement. They can take a very aggressive engage here when Talon are not expecting it. They can just run into a supercharger that Muse uses, take it out using the additional health they have from Luddy. Needs to get aggressive here, take advantage of what they have.
Bolts, Flux, 3 people up in the air. You've got to deal with that supercharger if you're Gladiators Legion, though. They do use the beat to surge them forward. Water does miss the punch, but still in the back line, trying to be a menace. Padapan takes out Stam1 as Gagora also finds Dalton. DPS now dwindling for Gladiators Legion as Water struggling to fight the 1v1 against Padapan. Talon managed to find the recap there, but Gladiators Legion now on 99%.
So much value gained out of Padapan and his Meteor Strike. Gladiators Legion likely could have tried to survive that a little bit harder, maybe invest something more. Water now going to have to move forward. He does have a Meteor Strike of his own, Jaws, but Talon probably going to be very much prepared. They will have tracked this. They know this is coming. They can keep the potential accretion for where he lands. It's very easy to hit that before the Doomfist can make another move. Stun him on the ground. Guarantee yourselves a kill. Alternatively, Water can just get aggressive, use it to get out of jail.
He's got Coalescence at his back, to be fair as well. You might as well go in. Halt in to the Meteor Strike. It doesn't find anything, but the damage was done to Padapan and Muse. For the rest of the team to clean on up. Gladiators Legion are going to be able to control this point, or at least attempt to. We do see CQB just trying to stall out for some additional time, still not dying somehow. He is Lucio after all. Eventually got taken out by Rolf, but He's still stalled out for long enough. Padapan's going to make his re-engagement, but instantly cleared out once more. Bashful with the ult. Can he get anything? It does get eaten all up, and Dalton manages to secure the kill. This should be all over now for Talon, unless a miracle does happen. A Coalescence is going off, and in fact, Muse does attempt to get back into this fight, killing off Luddy. And in fact, we even have CQB swapping over to Baptiste, throwing that Immortality field on the point time and time again. Rob's going to go down as well. This is looking rather winnable for Talon if they can just find the picks. Water and Dalton say no, however. Gladiators Legion take Night Garden.
Very interesting play there from CQB Jaws. He was actually frisbeeing that Immortality field all the way from spawn. After it was destroyed, he'd go back, change to another hero, change back to Baptiste, get that cooldown available again, frisbee it in. He missed it the second time though, so it was not as effective, unfortunately. Gladiators Legion tying up, showing they are here to play. I do think Talon could have got more done there, Jaws, if they went for an attack over the bridge when they had that Pharos over. Everyone assaulting them would have been in the open and vulnerable to incoming barrages, and a little bit better geographical play around that central tower. We're back to basics, back to the Reaper, back to the Doomfist on Control Center. This is where it will all be decided. Gladiators Legion coming alive. I'm especially impressed with how Emil right now is checking Padapan.
Just want to be able to take him out. This is exactly what Element's Mystic's plan was as well. I still attempted rock there. I think he actually hit the shield or something. I'm surprised Water didn't end up going down. Lucio, unfortunately, squished like a bug. Water managed to take him out. This should be a rather clean fight for Gladiators Legion again. Although Dalton is going fairly aggressive half this time. It feels like he's not getting the backup necessary. Maybe Gladiators Legion opting to pocket Water a little bit more than Dalton. Of course, Dalton does have the lifesteal on his weapons, but I don't know. Dalton, too aggro. I
agree that Dalton is going aggro, but I think it's more because Water's playing a little bit less aggressively. They want to have Water be that backup afterwards. After they invest cooldowns to deal with an aggressive Dalton, you can have Water make his engagement. You can see he's just playing behind the shields now. He's waiting for an insertion rather than trying to force something.
Both Coalescence to use Water, falls to sub-10. He's been multiple times, but somehow kept alive in the thick of it. Padapan's going to go in once again, and he himself going so low. Dalton goes down to Bashful. Now, one man up are Talons. They do walk forward. Bashful trying to just get past this shield and click on the Orisa's hair, but it's not working out too well for him so far. Water goes for the kill. A beautiful knockoff as well onto Kagora, but Bashful has already claimed two for himself. Can Water get back up? No, he cannot. Padapan sends a few stray shots his way and takes him out.
Well, the thing about the playing for reserve Doomfishers where you're looking for mistakes to punish is that you can't punish it if they don't make any mistakes. Talon there, they moved in as a very cohesive unit. They were behind their tanks who were able to body block. They didn't really have a backboard behind them either, so if you managed to get a punch, it was unlikely it would deliver the burst damage. Now they're loaded for Bear trying to defend here. They've almost got both their support ultimates, both their tank ultimates too.
Bashful, that's what we want to see. Halt into Death Blossom, easy as that. That Reaper damage, man, is actually disgusting. Then you're basically invincible as well because you have all the healing at your back plus the lifesteal.
This is tragic for Gladiators Legion as well, Jules. They invested a sound barrier there. Now what do they have to deal with Gagora's Gravitic Flux? Bloody invested a sound barrier after two people had already died. The instant damage coming out from a supercharged Death Blossom is just too fast to react to when you're trying to channel an ultimate that has a cast time. Talon Esports here. If they can get a good Gravitic Flux, this fight should be easily theirs.
Ultra check in the corners. You got to if you're going up against Bashful. Ludding is sent up. Well, Harry, I'd call you a fortune teller, but I think it was a little bit too easy to predict. No sound barrier into the wall, Jaws. Exactly. Talon Esports is going to continue to win fight after fight. Gladiators Legion have got 40%-ish. Talon, they're inching ahead now, and it was almost a complete reset on the ults there as well for both teams.
Talon don't have anything now, though, to deal with Dalton and his Death Blossom. We need to see Water get aggressive. He needs to divert resource into dealing with him. Once he's done that, TP into the back, find the back line. They don't have anything to defend themselves for, and no support ults available. This is all about Dalton.
Grass has been used already, but it doesn't matter because Padapan's on the side. The Death Blossom's going to come out, but again, hoping for a miracle because Padapan's already taken out both your supports. You have no healing left. And this is last fight territory now for Gladiators Legion. Talon are going to be able to, well, subvert some of that damage. Unfortunately, Bashful does end up going down as well, but we're still with no healers. Gladiators Legion still making their mark on this fight. Emil's going to be able to come back with a kill onto Muse, and Talon Esports with a Coalescence at their backs might just want to forego this fight, knowing that they only need to win one more to secure the map.
And this is the coordination we've needed to see from Glad's Legion, Jaws. We saw Stan 1 bring in the Hulk, water slams down on top of it, get an instant kill onto Bashful, remove that huge amount of damage so you can aggressively move forward, so your Orisa is not getting torn apart by a Reaper that is checking her. Talon have the sieging ability here, they have the supercharger, they have themselves a coalescence. The piercing power that's available here is unprecedented.
Supercharge being used as well. Water drops down from the skylight. Manages to escape rather quickly. Now, Panapan needs to be checked. Water's going to fling himself in once again, but he's up against a coalescence, so has to get out of there ASAP. Both Coles now fading, but Emil ends up going down. A beautiful punch onto Bashful as he went too aggressive on the flank. Water's still going to try and get the damage done. Kept alive. Supercharger pumping out the damage as well. This is Gladiators' team fight to win. A Delta fights 3 with the Death Blossom. Gladiators Legion kill Talon, and now they are in one fight territory of winning the map.
They use the supercharger too. Emil has gone over onto the Wrecking Ball. Will he move back over to the Sigma, or will he just stay here for this fight? It looks like he's remaining on the point, Jaws. They're going to be very underserved when it comes to the shielding. How are they going to deal with Bashful and his Death Blossom? They don't have that second shield. They're going to need to knock him away instead using this.
Ball's coming in though. Water's going to use that chance to go in. The slam into the ground with the hold, but Water's in trouble. He needs to get out, but Bashful picks him off. He learned his lesson from last time around. Checks Water and picks him off. Stan 1's going to fall as well as OT digs through. Rolf with the desperation coalescence to try and make something of this fight, but Bashful learned his lesson, picks up a meal as well. OT is in session, and Talon Esports regain control and take the map.
The long game just served them so well, Jaws. They played the ults that they needed to. And unfortunately, we saw Emil swap over onto the Wrecking Ball. Was not well suited to that final fight. Evidently, Water did get the interrupt onto the Death Blossom using the punch, but they needed a little bit more power than that to be able to surge through the final fight. So unfortunate when you don't have a Sigma. It's so difficult to deal with the Death Blossom because not only are you missing the second shield that can block off a huge portion of that damage afflicting your team, but you also miss the Kinetic Grasp that gives you 2 chances. You miss the Accretion, which can cancel it. So many ways Sigma can deal with a Reaper Ultimate, and none of them were available in that particular fight. Talon Esports going up 1-0 as we move out of control. Lijiang Tower has been claimed.
They're feeling pretty good with themselves right now. Gladiators need to get their heads back in the game. We're going to go to map 2 just in a minute. Welcome back. Talon Esports versus Gladiators Legion. Lijiang Tower going in 2-1 favor of Talon Esports. About to head into map number 2 rather shortly. And hey, would you look at that? Apex veteran Bashful showing up big right at the very end, learning his lesson, adapting to what we're seeing Water trying to do and where Water was actually checking him on the flanks. He's like, okay, this time around, I'm going to wait by my tanks. I know you're going to punch in. He takes him out, and it ends up helping them secure the map.
And we also saw the flank from Bashful where he was actually just hiding in the back during night market draws. That's one of the most important things that Bashful's currently doing. He's varying his playstyle. He doesn't want to be predictable because he knows that if he becomes predictable, Emil's going to be able to check him rather easily. And that's something that both of the DPS in this meta have to deal with. Being the Doomfist, being the Reaper, it's all about varying the playstyle. Make sure that no one knows exactly what you're going to be doing at any moment.
Hollywood is going to be the map. Can Legion bounce back, or will it be another 3-0? Let's get into the map. Talon on the defense first up. Gladiators Legion on the offense. I haven't seen too many funky compositions here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've only seen the Farah from Bashful. It was very effective for a single fight.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would like to see a little bit more, not gonna lie. Maybe a Torb to put on the stairs at the back.
Yeah, just channel your inner engineer.
Yeah.
Do it for CV.
Yeah.
Do it for him.
Do it for Clockwork Vendetta. Oh boy. No more Torb, unfortunately. You can. I did get told, actually. I was talking to HCL about this. They were like, yeah, in one of our scrims, like this one team, they played Torb and somehow won. I'm not entirely sure. We ended up winning the set, but like they won with Torb. You just put the turret, so the Doomfist punches to the turret instead of anybody else. It's insane.
Yeah, just
I was like,
block turret.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would work consistently, but I like the idea.
You've heard of shield dancing, but have you heard of turret dancing?
Exactly.
Right now, Gladiators Legion, they're dancing with death.
Kind of owned.
That's a long stun for Dalton, evidently expedited by the fact that Gagora hit that from so far away. Right now, Talon, they're comfortable just set up here on the high ground, trying to figure out not only what Gladiators Legion are running, but what approach they want to take to get onto a point. They could speed boost out of security, just move straight onto a point, but they don't want to put themselves in a place where Talon can easily descend upon them, where Padapan can be channeling a punch as he drops as well.
Speaking of channeling punches, that's exactly what he did. Water barely had his head around the corner. It was like, hey, oh, well, you're dead. Unfortunate. We spoke about this yesterday, and I won't harp on it too much, but Hollywood point A on the defense if you're Doomfist. What a perfect setup. It does feel like some of the time, you're like, okay, so do we speed boost around the back where Mega is just to stop us getting backboarded by this Doomfist? It's such an awkward map to attack, especially because you can take high ground so quickly as well.
And Talon have also decided to go back onto the high ground and making sure that they're keeping this as like their defensive bastion from which they will operate. Rolf can siege them using the Coalescence, but a quick drop down.
Another punch again! Padapan manages to find Water, finds the double kill with the Luddy as well. What did Glad do about this? This time, you know, they took a different entrance, Harry. They went in through security to try and find something. Water got taken out, and they even sent the Reaper on the back line too.
What I like to see done about this, Jaws, is actually for Water to stay back in this choke point, waiting for Padapan to make his engage, charging up his punch, and then punch him as he stops from hitting an opponent. He's getting caught too often on this engagement. You know, Padapan's looking for him to make sure that Talon have a huge advantage in terms of the burst damage available. Water needs to hang back here or stay closer to his tank so that he cannot be isolated.
As Padapan, he goes in again! 3 times in a row, Padapan has found the initial kill in the fight with a punch. Luddy this time falling victim to him. That's half the time bank gone as well. And Harry, I've got to mention something here. Look at Talon's ult bank. And then look at Glad's. They haven't had a fight, so it's almost been just the generic charge building up for them.
I want to see Gladiators Legion as well. Maybe invest for sweepers to disengage the second that Talon put themselves down from the high ground. Talon, here, they're pretty inassailable because Water isn't on the same plane as them to try and deliver an engagement punch. They're going to try and hold things off, but...
Again!
Just get caught, bro.
4th time in a row. 3 Water, 1 Luddy. Unfortunate.
Mate, this guy's so hydrated right now. Stay hydrated bot's going to be very proud of Padapan. And they're going straight in for a meal as well. They managed to get,
I mean, you might as well.
Look at the time bank, Jaws.
1 minute and 20 seconds remains. And look at this punch. Oh, in midair too!
Up. Oh,
what
the
is this?
synergy.
Oh, Padapan. Talon Esports now with a wealth of ultimates as well. Gladiators Legion, only some coming online. Bashful even on the flank here.
Yeah, they're going for a different play, Jules. It's all about being unpredictable. This time, Bashful, the second that they engage, when they try and do a Padapan,
900
by
IQ
Dalton.
TP by
Big
Dalton
play.
on the back line. Will Padapan find the entry frag again? Meteor Strike coming out. Both codes are coming in. Beautiful Meteor Strike right in the middle of the team. They do get saved up for the time being, though, with the help of the shields, but Padapan still manages to find the Supercharger. Bashful teleporting to the back line. It's a duel with the Reapers. Bashful gets knocked down, though, but Padapan comes up with a kill onto Emil. This is looking like it's going to be a full hold. The mental of Gladiators Legion right now is waning.
And the support there for Bashful was immense, Jaws. Not only did they put down a sound barrier to keep him alive during that usage of the Death Blossom, the second that Water tried to slam down him with a Meteor Strike, you know what's coming in? An Accretion get rocked to the face. 18 seconds remain, not a single tick for Gladiators Legion. Luddy's got a sound barrier, Emil's got a Gravitic Flux, and they don't have a CQB sound barrier to deal with it. It's got to be all about Emil having the advantage here. He's caught a few.
Flux coming in, Water caught up, receives the beat, but finally manages to kill Padapan. Talon Esports are one man down, but is still winnable. Gladiators Legion just forcing their entire self, just trying to kill off this Bashful. He needs to die. As soon as he's down, they have no damage to follow up. Gagora finally goes down. Water coming online. Gladiators Legion in the last couple of seconds managed to force themselves onto the point. Why would you uppercut there? Bashful managed to take out Stam 1 as well. Talon Esports, both supports on the point versus the rest of Glad. They should be able to clean it up, but Water wanting to prove himself in the 1v1s, and it's not working out.
Padapan's in his head, dude. He's like, okay, I'm going to get up there, I'm going to use an uppercut. Why, though? You can see that he's charging a punch. That's not the correct play right there. Gladiators Legion, they'll get themselves 2 minutes and 30 seconds and a point on the board, Jaws, but they're going to need to hurry through the rest of this map. Their time bank has already been decimated from this long hold on point A. Talon Esports show no signs of giving up this intensity. They're moving right up to this corner here, ready to try and engage. Padapan can go deep as well. We can take an off angle because he can always escape using the Meteor Strike.
Supercharger has been used. Padapan instantly destroys it, but Dalton hits the Q key straight up, 2 kills. CQB and Muse end up going down, but Padapan finds the punch on him. Now no DPS remain for Gladiators Legion, and Padapan and Bashful take the game into their own hands. Talon Esports with a man disadvantage going into the initial start of the fight, combat on top.
And not only that, Dalton just invested that Death Blossom in what looked like a one fight. That's now worth nothing. Talon Esports are going to have to respawn here. That does mean there will be a little bit of pressure onto the car. It will start moving forward, and Talon Esports need to pick a new chance, a new place to engage. You know, Water's not going to try that one again. He's learned. He's been a victim too many times. Bashful hiding around. He does have ready to go his Death Blossom, but he's being checked for Dalton.
Dalton has been beautiful at checking where Bashful has been. Can't check where Padapan is, though, as he kills off Bloody on the side. Coalescence coming out, but the beat from Talon Esports now fading away. Have to play a little bit more safe behind these hay bales from the Coalescence, but it doesn't stop Water doming CQB. And that'll be another fight win, potentially. I don't want to call it just yet, but Padapan's the only one left. There we go. Glad, with 6 people on the payload now, are going to be able to push it towards second.
So much credit to Dalton for these last 2 engagements, Jaws. He's always managing to find Bashful. He gets an engagement early. He calls it out to his team. And because Bashful's feeling under pressure, no longer has the element of surprise, and he's caught out in a terrible spot, he uses a less than ideal Death Blossom. He's easily picked up by Emil and mitigated. Now Talon Esports have to try and see through these doors.
Flux is coming in. Straight up in the air goes the Sigma. Meteor Strike comes down. Supercharger instantly destroyed yet again. But Luddy manages to take out Padapan before he can get away. Dalton now moving forward has the Death Blossom as well. Ceasing the resistance is Talon, but instantly it's destroyed. Supercharger, no match for Dalton's Hellfire shotguns. A Coalescence to try and salvage this fight, but Mango Jai is going to be the only one left on the point, and it should be a cap for Legion. This has been one of the least defensible spots in the game currently, or in the tournament that we have seen. And now the 3rd point push with 1 minute and 30 to go. So much invested by Talon though, Jaws. They're trying desperately, they're trying to cash in all their chips, bring back all the investments, have a bit of a panic sell, trying to buy themselves some stability, but Gladiators Legion momentum in their favor. Dalton right now, he's checking for Bashful again. He knows that if he can show where Bashful is, he can force him into a less than ideal Death Blossom. Bashful only gets biggest Death Blossoms when no one's expecting him to come through. Gonna look for a TP to the back here, potentially. No, he didn't end up going for it, cancelled it in the end. Luddy gets uppercutted straight into a rocket punch onto the wall. Now Bashful can just play around and dance around these shields with ease. That'll be Gladiators Legion. Losing a fight, eventually. They pushed it all the way from first to second without losing a single one, but now, looking like they're going to get held at the gate. They got maybe 1.5 fights. One definitely, but it'll be a staggered one for the last.
I imagine it will just be one, Jaws, given how slowly these compositions die unless there's an early pick and we just have to go again. Bashful checking Dalton on the flank. Doesn't want to get caught out before he can use this ultimate because it could be the decider.
Water misses the punch. He's waiting for a hold potentially. He does send it down straight on top of the payload to try and find a kill. Just takes damage and that perfect accretion yet again, just taking him out with the help of Patapan, but Dalton in the front line, picking up the kills. As Patapan ends up fading into the distance, and Gladiators Legion getting this cart moving, but it's going to be OT before they finish.
And they're lacking these sieging tools, Jaws. It's going to be all about Emil, the person who came from Europe into this squad for this season to try and turn Gladiators Legion around, picked up after Atlantic Showdown, is going to have himself this Gravitic Flux up against CQB. Gladiators Legion, they need to get rid of Velucio, force out that ultimate beforehand, and allow themselves an effective usage of the Gravitic Flux, or it could be all over here.
Super early over Supercharger coming out. Accretion does manage to hit Stan. One, he gets deleted.
Now you ran.
Patapan as well, taking out Lodi, and now they don't have beat to survive. Talon used their beat to surge on forwards. That should be it. They get chased off the payload, and Talon will halt Legion just before the third point.
Gagora there, absolute perfection, Jaws. You see how we arced that accretion over the car, over the bonnet, over the canopy, over the chassis, into the face of Stan 1. Got that stun, no shield available. They quickly got rid of the Arista, and after that, Gladiators Legion, they were out of luck. And I want to give you a quick stat to really just highlight how good Gagora is right now. 11.1k damage per 10 minutes. Emil on the other side, 7.4. He's doing 3 to 4k more damage per 10 minutes, and that means more Gravitic Fluxes, more damage on those DPS, more ultimate charge for everybody else when they are cleaning up these fights where you get that early pick.
Plus, forcing of cooldowns too from the healers. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're forcing the Moira to maybe even Coalescence, but use a healing orb instead of a damage orb, etc., etc., just forcing these amps as well, coming out from the Lucio to try and heal up the front line, be rather disastrous for you. Water, he's trying the cheeky punch. He did manage to get it as well, nice one. There's a lot of crazy Doomfist tech you can do off small inclined surfaces. It's kind of insane, really. And then you watch the kill cam, you're like, oh, what? He killed me from where?
Guess that's fair.
I guess I die. Because you only hear the kind of, you know, the seismic slam coming down. You're like, what's that weird? Oh, I'm dead. Well, rip.
One of the things Gladiators Legion need to do now is think about win conditions, and looking at what they've achieved, Jaws, and the distance they have, they need to be playing a time bank here. We need to see a really good point A defense. They need to be, if they don't full hold it, getting this to at least just a minute left. That will be what is needed to make sure Talon Esports don't have a luxury of time planning forward to try and take fights as they wish with an ideal ultimate economy. Once again, we see the hiding, or not the hiding, the positioning on the upper ground right here. A good attempt at a siege. Now they're on the low ground. This is where Patapan can really get value.
Perhaps one's waiting for his uppercut, but no, this time Water's checking him, but they do manage to push people onto the side. They've got to be careful though, so they're still doing a fair bit of damage as Water this time around comes out on top. Patapan gets slammed into the wall, and that should be it. Remember how deadly this was for Legion. It was rather quick resets, Harry, I would say, obviously with people just getting instantly killed by Patapan, but it kind of helped him in, you know, you're losing, but you're still getting helped kind of just because, you know, the fight resets are rather quick, but still a minute off the time bank for Talon.
It's a very efficient way to lose. Unfortunately, Mew's going to be having a shield a little bit further back. Gladiators haven't actually reset up onto the high ground here, so we won't have the ability to drop down. Talon will be much more able to get an early pick here if Patapan can find an angle on someone like that. That's a nice slam.
Nice hold, nice slam. There's the Cole. Mango Jai sending his out through the team. Better angle though, Gladiators Legion have. Just like they're backing off, but Water gets caught out. This is bad now. Patapan's just going to bend himself round the corner. Almost has that Meteor Strike up and available as well. The Supercharger didn't end up going down for Stan 1, but it got instantly destroyed. Now on top of the shield, Patapan launched himself in. The accretion's going to come out, but Gladiators Legion still want to fight this fight. Use the beat to keep them in, but Bashful waiting at the bottom of that flux with the ult. manages to help Patapan pick up the kills, and Legion are going to lose this first point.
CQB getting the clutch beat just as fast as Emil. I thought Emil may have won the race there. Jaws in the first fight, he got up to about 60% of the gravitic flux. He did so much damage when he was punched into the backline. The Gladiators Legion, now they've destroyed their ultimate economy. They invested 3 major ultimates for Meteor Strike, the Sand Barrier, and the gravitic flux into that last fight. And now guess what? Gagora, he's got a gravitic flux of his own. How are you going to defend against this? Maybe you can interrupt it with an accretion. Very unlikely. I think this next fight may well be a wash for Talon Esports. Gladiators Legion don't invest anything here. Just play the long game.
Another nice hole into a flux.
Never mind.
It was going to go down pretty low. Meteor Strike straight on top of the payload for Patapan. He's going to try for this re-engage. What a headshot that was. That was so much damage. And they just get juggled. Did you see like 5 of them just leap towards Talon? That was ridiculous. 4 minutes in the time bank as well for Talon. And we spoke about how this point is so... You just can't defend this point, Harry. It's almost impossible, it feels like.
I think Gladiators Legion wouldn't get anything out of investing ults there. They certainly didn't, both the Coalescence and their Death Blossom. Now gone. Gladiators Legion under-resourced for this next fight. They will have a supercharger, but that's about all. If they can get aggressive and get rid of this supercharger.
Sam1 using the supercharger at his feet. Not quite well protected. Dalton trying to defend it with his life, same with Stam1. He's actually standing on top of it right now. Patapan and Water are going to go fairly low, but this time, Patapan goes down to Dalton, who finds himself a second kill. Water is fairly low too, but retreating back to the rest of his team should be an easy clean-up now. And what feels like an age, Harry, we do see a defending squad win the fight on the streets phase.
The macro understanding of Gladiators Legion for this fight was so important. They knew that the only ultimate that was going to be available was that supercharger. If it went down, that fight was going to be even, and they're often losing the even fights. So what they do is they plonk both their tanks down on top of it, body block for it. If people are coming in, their shots are being absorbed by their healthy bodies. That means that Dalton could get the most out of that boosted damage. Now he's almost got himself a Death Blossom. Gladiators Legion are in a great place to win this next fight, especially if they can force out an early barrier.
Hold, Flux, CQB does use the beat though. They're going to be good for the time being. Dalton avoids that Meteor Strike, jumps straight in with a Death Blossom, but it gets mostly eaten, and now Gagora is basically invulnerable. Dalton ends up going down to CQB as Bashful just mows down the rest of Gladiators. That should just be it. And you can see that whole time, CQB was actually checking the top side. Dalton and Water were not in the best of positions, really. He was waiting for them to dive in. You can boop that Seismic Slam, give your team an almost infinite amount of time, it feels like, to actually react to that ability.
Talon now going to move forward. They've got both of their tank ultimates. Sure, it's going to be very hard for Legion to do anything into this. Already the cut's almost there. They've got to move through a choke.
Supercharger coming in as well. Look at the position too. That's well defended. And Patapan already kills Luddy. Gagora is going to lift everybody up in the air with the flux, and that is going to be it. Second point is going to get captured. Gladiators Legion, remember, had 1 minute and 30 seconds to move through the warehouse. Talon, on the other hand, have double that.
They're claiming all the space tools, so don't have many tools. What they need to do now is just gain some distance on the cart. Make sure they are in the position where one team fight win will get them what they want. They need to keep Gladiators Legion back. That's why Patapan's up here, trying to get an early pick, force a disengagement after Gladiators Legion come in through the high ground potentially, but no, it's for low. They're moving in with the shields. Bound lines have been drawn.
Both coals have been used as well. Meteor Strike up in the air for Water. Holt into the strike. Almost an easy kill for Water there. Finishes off Gagora, but Patapan comes up with a kill as well. In fact, Bashful and Patapan are just going absolute man mode in the back. What is this? The supercharger, again from Sam1. I think was used a little bit late, Harry, and a bit too dangerously too. He put it right on top of him, but already Bashful was in and around the tanks, just dancing around them, was able to kill it off so quickly. And now Talon Esports moving forward with a Death Blossom of their own. Gladiators Legion have no ults.
Bashful, he can just hide in the corner here. He may well be checked. It's all about Dalton. He needs to find Bashful, tell his team what's going to go on. They need to find a way to mitigate this ultimate jaws. If they don't, this is Talon Esports' fight to win. They can go into halftime on match point.
He's coming through as well from CQB. He's ready to unleash it. Doesn't really have to worry about Emil's ult charging up. Patapan goes in fairly aggressively. Bashful doing the same thing. His ult's going to get eaten, but the damage in the front line's pretty big. Sam1's going to go really low, knocked up in the air, but kept alive with the Coalescence. The beat from Luddy as well is going to come in. Talon Esports are losing health at a rapid pace. Patapan ends up going down as Dalton marches on forward. Talon Esports still have time in the bank as Water cleans up the rest. They've got one more attack, and ult's coming online. It was an expensive fight for both teams, but their DPS ults and maybe one support ult for the next might just do it.
But once again, Jaws, the critical thing here is that Emil almost has gravitic flux. The EU member on Gladiators Legion can make sure that he can win this fight. Not only can he take Talon Esports off the car, but he can do a huge amount of damage. CQB doesn't have the sand barrier, and this will also give him the room to move in and destroy Muse's usage of the supercharger.
Super early use of the supercharger, but he's already going to go down. That's one less healer available now for Gladiators Legion. Mango Jai using that coalescence in the front. Dalton gets booped away and even behind the shield, and even a slam from Patapan too. He's launching himself in with a punch, spots the Moira in the back. Rolf is going to go down, and Talon Esports moving the cart on forward. Your underdogs are going to go 2-0 in this series against Gladiators Legion.
The pride of Pacific right now giving a sucker punch to the North American region, showing themselves, despite being from 4 different countries, 4 different languages, communicating in a language that isn't really native to any of them, that they have the skills to make this work. And that was, despite any communication problems, a perfect rotation of their DPS ultimate Jaws. First, they use Bashful, they get him in, they don't actually use the Death Blossom, they just bait to start off with. They force him to use his Wraith form to actually just tank one of the accretions from Emil. That's one thing left that cannot interrupt that Death Blossom. So then, you just spin around in the middle, down goes the use of the Kinetic Grasp, then you can't deal with a Meteor Strike.
Stomp or be stomped has been Gladiators Legion time at Gauntlet. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere. Potentially the final map coming up soon.